Aloha, Nityanandam. So I want to start the discussion about observing the observer and where are the subtle violences that I notice others enjoy. One of them, the main one, is posturing above others, thinking they are better, right? I cannot, literally brain is going psh, psh. I don't even want to be in the space of those who operate as their baseline that. I can't. Because like the video I did earlier, when I tell people I build temples, all of a sudden the extent of their powerlessness, I see them shrinking and put me on some kind of imaginary pedestal. I don't enjoy that. There are those who enjoy that because of their SDHD and trying to inflate and posture, stand on their little soapbox higher than others. I don't enjoy that. And so because I thoroughly do not enjoy it, it's like throwing acid, watching acid getting poured on me, on my eyes when I see that in others. And it took some time, a lot of time, longer than I would like to have had, to come to the point to be able to articulate and ensure that that shrinking does not happen, because I rather see others maka to maka than not. And a lot of the maka to maka that I don't do is because the baseline where someone is operating from, I do not want to reflect in vibe or tatastu that. Particularly those who posture on others. So when it's observing the observer, which is yourself, are you enjoying those subtle violences upon others when there is no other? So when I say, when I build temples, I do let it pause there just to see where the neural network setup of the person in front of me, and a vast majority of them are just like putting me on a pedestal and then just whatever. Now there is side effects to that because of their own egos and stuff like that, that they're just they gotta sort through and sit with who they call upon as God, right? So I just leave it at that. But as soon as I say, well, it's not what people think, I inspire and encourage all to turn their home into a temple. And all of a sudden, that shrinking pedestal, their divineness, Paramashiva-ness, their whatever, grows to maka. And when that happens, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Right? That is the first violence done upon all of humanity. through that stripping people of their divinity. And those who do that and do those kind of structures, you're not going to find me in their space. And because of the things that I've experienced growing up, I don't recommend anyone for any reason to open their home for spiritual things, because congregations or whatever, demons congregate too, and who do they prey upon? The children who are still learning. They don't know. Shit and diamonds to them are the same. Getting raped by a pedophile or whatever to children, or being imposed upon, they don't really know, because it's not really taught. Now, you can't point fingers and blame. Want to, but can't. Right? But I don't recommend people opening up their homes. Yeah, they're building temple, but I don't recommend people opening their homes because demons do congregate. Now, there are places and spaces, churches and temples, that invite all demons, whatever, to those spaces and places. Great. They can go there. But for me, I choose to have those who gravitate towards me because that's a vibe tribe, right? Maybe not necessarily go hang out at each other's homes, because there are those concerns. Because why? Damage a child for life, right? They can do completion, they can do whatever, and it's in this meat suit, right? Whether it's when you swap DNA through, whether it's kissing or rape of a child, through the spooky action at a distance, for life, energetically bound to that who transgressed or initiated force, right? I get lots of questions. When those questions get answered, I will share them, right? So with that energetic binding, which time, distance does not matter, right? That person's ups and downs, emotional well-being, that's why, it's really not in your best interest to have many partners. Ideally just one, because you don't want to deal with that. Someone else's spooky action at a distance and their depressions, or if they're like connected to others and be like, I don't know what's going on. All of that, right? Anyway. The spiritual side of that, and the lack of clarity of that on purpose, that should be baseline education. I would argue for 7-8-year-olds, because there's a lot of 8-year-olds, especially girls, having their period, right? Talking pheromones and this and that and whatever. Meat suit, triggering, whatever. So let's get very real very fast. But you won't find me really hanging out with those who enjoy posturing over others. It's a very subtle difference between shining your own light, recognizing others' light versus shining your light and trying to like make sure everybody's below. Okay, very big difference. And that's an addiction, right? There are many different types of tapas or penance or spiritual training. I don't like the word tapas because penance, because it's like self-inflicted torture when it's not. It's actually your choosing to do such a practice to mutate yourself in that direction based off of your context and intention. It's a spiritual practice for mutation that you consciously choose that you are going to go through, be on that boat to go through the storm to get to the other side, right? Of that context and intention, whatever it is. So one of the spiritual practices that I've done just for a very short time, which I would rather do longer, is silence. No talking. And one of the other subtle violences, because you are forced to observe the observer. And it's not like I don't engage in, I for a lot of times I really don't really engage into banter or conversations or whatever. But there are, when you make that decision, the awareness of when one or me wanted to interject, timing, right? To be funny with whatever word salad that you decide to chef up and serve or whatever, just for laughs, right? You get very, very clear as to the habitual patterns, whether it's a habitual pattern of this or social bindings for connection to whatever. All of that gets really revealed in 2020 clarity. I would agree 15-15. Right? Those are habitual patterns, subtle violences, but you do really get to knowing yourself very clearly. So what are your experiences observing the observer? Right? I am inviting all to also build temple like I do and inspire all, inclusively by who they call upon as God. You don't consciousness monocrop and start painting the world only that shade of that color. Allow the freedom of expression that's uniquely them, but be like, you build your home as a temple. And if you're a mother or a father or someone who runs a household, be like, no, your room is a temple. Please set it up, maintain it as such, right? Because that's going into hygiene and whatever also. Or whatever, right? Things to consider. And I cordially invite the Sangha, Nityananda Sangha Kailasa, to shift the perspective, change the ambiance. Even with that as well, when doing Vakyarthasadas or whatever. Just a suggestion. Pointing. Swamiji. Just pointing. Right? Especially when the experiences I have, I don't light anybody up. I hold the space for them to light themselves up in the initiations that I do. Just pointing. So that there is no other step. The steps, right, of external versus just being straight from the internal you. I'm not saying that that's wrong. There's infinite ways. I'm just over here communicating why I get shown to do what I do, which got blessed to be by Divine Mother herself because of the extent of my suffering, which those who go to Gurukul would never experience, right? To scrub it from base one. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. With all due respect to Swamiji and Guru Shishesha Parampara, right? All due respect, but I'm over here like the mutation, great grandchild of Shiva. Down the Buddhist lineage, specifically the Lotus Sutra, that goes into power manifestation and all of that. Just kind of like the that people don't know. What is that for the Bible, the Book of Enoch? From what I hear, I never read it. As a power manifestor, I would like to read it just to take a look at the style, right? Because everybody has their own style, just like me. I got downloaded with a style, and I don't impose. You can even ask Millicent. She doesn't want initiation. She wants to also be blessed by Mother for her own way. I'm like Tatastu. I got blessed with that. She should get blessed with that also, right? I'm not going to impose. Besides, consciousness grows on the timeline of eternity, not one life. Yeah, so who cares? Who cares? Right? So, just things to think about. In We in Dialogue, cordially inviting Kailasa and Nityananda Sangha to join in this Vakyarthasadas, or the fire is a little bit too hot, which is usually the case, to jump in on such. Yeah, Swamiji. I love you. I love you very much. You're a very cute cutie. You rocking it, doing what you're doing for those who connect that way. No disrespect, because not everybody going to connect everywhere. Anyway, they will connect the way they going to connect, right? And I'm very appreciative for the sparring and the cognition. So sometimes I wish it was like more faster, right? But that's a sort of violence, impatience. I do know that the children I teach, right, not gonna get the stepmother version. They're gonna get the mother version. Yeah, Mother Bear. Anybody trying to posture on my children or impose on them or rape them, whether it's consciousness raping or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, Mother Bear. Kali. Even the still meditating on what is the too far point where Kali ended up sticking her tongue out. Went a little too far. It seems like everyone went a little too far, right? Whether it's Kali or Narasimha, requiring and just a rampage. I'm over here like, no, I'm not interested in doing that. Just trying to get the job done and finish, right? So mothers to initiate through umbilical cord initiation, inspiring all of humanity to turn their home into a temple and treat it as such, and don't let demons come in, right? That's why, okay, so for like a setup, right? Sorry guys. I should go into this. I'm glad we're talking about this on what kind of setup, home setup, is conducive for that, right? So hold on. I had this all set up for the power manifestation I did earlier. Didn't expect for this, but this is what's happening. This is what's happening in the now, and that's how it is. And we're going to do this. All right. We got this. Enjoy the jams. Maha Yogi Shiva Shiva. So, all right. We got this. We're going to do this. Alright, so when this is a home setup style that Kanaka Maoli, pre-Pa'ao Kanaka Maoli set up their home, right? Where all were power manifestors, right? Well, what happened? Why I say pre-Pa'ao? They had a prediction that within 6 months, black magic sorcerer was going to come. So they shut down all of their temples and such. To this day, too. So that's why I go with my friends or my crew. It's not my crew, right? To power manifest at all the temples. Now it gets interesting because some of the temples are human sacrifice, because that's what Pa'ao brought. Pa'ao brought the elite structures to create hierarchy and impose on others, as well as black magic and human sacrifices. That's what he brought. So the original people, Kanaka Maoli, people of Mu, of this land, didn't do that. They were all power manifestors and played with Kamakani, the wind, the rain, just all in that oneness. So very beautiful lifestyle, which reflects the same as Hindu structures, right? They're power manifestors and they worship, from my perspective, they call it ahus, but it looks like lingas and yonis, right? The flat rock and then the upright rock. So this is where the home, most of them will have a detached carport or a tent separate from their home. Only those who live in the home enter the home. Everyone else is not allowed in the home. So they have their house. And I prefer I don't like Western constructs. I prefer roots culture home styles. Going to India and experiencing, you know how like the ones that they have the cow dung flooring. I don't mind experiencing that just to see, right? But I don't like two-story houses. So they have whether it's a detached carport or a tent, right? Separate for entertaining guests who are not allowed into the home. Why? Everyone has some kind of entities following them for whatever reason, wherever they got picked up, or those entities deciding to stay with them. So they don't want random entities in their home disturbing the balance and ecosystem, the spiritual vibrational ecosystem of their home. They also, to cleanse the space, would throw pa'akai or Hawaiian salt to cleanse the space. Now there are many types of space cleansing, from sage to, you can burn bay leaves or even guava leaves, depending on how you want to do it, because it's the context and intention, right? So that's something, or a lifestyle, I recommend to ensure the vibrational integrity of your home and your family, to protect them from those subtle things. So also to avoid, right? What do colonizers do to break a family, right? Especially mother-centric, because it's easy to break that way and cause crazy or women to be upset because they're trying to keep the integrity, right? Is to introduce the children to, or what is the first thing that colonizers brought in their to destroy families and a culture, a area, and then remove their spiritual practices? Because the protocol of every land on this planet has deities, right, that have existed there well before Christianity consciousness monocropped the globe, that those entities need to, which is in oneness with the environment and the ecosystem, because they held ecosystems and each family in those ecosystems, right? Plants, insects, microbes, you name it, fish, mammals, as God, because they were part of maintaining that balance, right? And observing that balance and being in oneness with that balance does not disturb them, right? Not just bulldoze a place and then just force it. That's not how Earth peoples do things. But they first brought sugar. Well, that is equal to like cocaine. I don't know how to spell cocaine. Does that look right? I don't know. I don't use it. But the brain perceives it as that. Then there's an addiction. It triggers an addiction. The next is coffee, which uses caffeine or any amount of excess caffeine. Is an addiction. Is that how you spell caffeine? Because I don't drink coffee. I don't really enjoy it. It makes my stomach upset. Like, irritated. I can't do it. Which makes me very fortunate. There's a lot of things I did not have to struggle with. I mean, even my teeth. I only have one filling. One cavity filling. I'm extremely blessed. What else they brought? Right? All of those lifestyles. And when you trace those lifestyles, you can find, right? Now, I did watch one Facebook reel or whatever where someone was saying that people would travel through the sea for months or whatever to get spices, right? Spice of life from pretty much India, right? Who has the dynamic spectrums of flavors that are unique. I'm not saying that Mexicans don't or whatnot, but when it comes to the dynamic spectrum, it seems Bharat, not India, Bharat, has a very, very, very dynamic everything. And so that's why the people congregate there, because it's more interesting, making life more beautiful, right? Like rainbow colors. Taste the rainbow. So yeah. And what would that be called in Swamiji's words? A guest house. Oh, shoot. The guest house. Bididi, bidadi. Because we're all just guests to the planet Earth, and we should leave it better than we found it. And I like to believe the download solutions that I'm saying cut through all the crap and just from the ground up, restoring it at source. Mothers to initiate through umbilical cord initiation. All homes are a temple. This is a kind of structure based off of my seeking that I recommend to protect you and your family. Right? To hold divinity in your home. Not excluding. See, that's the thing. Even with me. Right, let's go here. A lot of places, maybe not in the, even in the movies or whatever, there's land divisions. So, most homes have the street, and they have fences or markers or whatever, right? For property line. Each home is its unique expression, even if they share the same church or color. They're all just a shade, right? They're all just a shade. Stay on your side of the wall. Stay in your lane. There's a lot of people who are not staying in their lane. If you're not, just like, for example, Gaza. If you are not going to pack up and live there, zip it. Zip it. You don't know what you don't know what you don't know. Right? There is a way that I got shown to be inclusive and do something about it. Right? That's kind of like inserting yourself in your neighbor's problems, right? And a lot of times it's family discord or whatnot, which has nothing to do with anyone else. Mind your own business, right? Zip it and mind your own business. Stay in your lane. But I don't see or hear anyone saying what I'm saying. There's all of these attempts or whatever, but a global peace treaty is actual factual humanitarian law. Why? Because we're talking about UCC, Uniform Commercial Code for commerce, right? Roads were built to visit family, friends, and pilgrimage purposes. Commerce is a side effect. Well, why is that? Because when you go and visit somewhere and people see what you make or whatever and want what you do, make and whatever, either they're going to trade or pay, right? Depending on the person. Like for me, I'm a weaver. People asking me to weave. When that's going to happen, I don't know. But I don't weave unless I feel like it. Right? I made videos to weave what I weave. Go do that. And I do meet people who make it. Great. Blessings to you. And I'm glad that it has enriched your life and you can make money. But my life focus is what it's focusing on, because that's my Paramashiva and I get shown what I gotta do, and everything else gets put to the side. When it's time for that to happen, it'll simply open up. I don't force it. So I do. I want to. I should, but I know how much time it's going to take to weave a mat for my floor. There's those who want it for their floor. I'm like, no, it takes a lot of time here. You won't go pay it out. Anyway. Yeah. The UCC. And then it's divided between Admiralty and Maritime. Maritime is for employees, citizens, subjects. Admiralty is for sovereigns, CEOs. You should be asking yourself, why is that not taught from the get? Right? From the get. No can blame. I don't blame. I just cardiac arrest my life to be able to do it on the right foundation. And the boons and blessings I asking for are pretty intense. And that ride is very intense. Because there's eternity and I'm over here like I don't. It's not, like I said, there's not much I care about. Not much. I'm extremely simple. But then again, all of us think we are, right? But yeah, there's UCC, and then there is non-UCC. This is public. This is public. This is private. And there's people who know, but they don't share. So from my perspective, those types of beings are not in my vibrational field. And if we're going to close this gap, 2036 gap, I call BS. Why? The cosmos, Paramashiva, moves everything. What is some piddly little cricket fart on the timeline of eternity that I'm like, now? No, now. No, now. No, now. What are the vested interests that are hindering that now? Legit question. Even to Swamiji. Right? Ask yourself that. What are the hindrances that is putting it? Because it's literally just like I'm saying right now, build your home as a temple. Mothers to initiate through umbilical cord initiation, all of that will make, it's going to make so many things irrelevant and redundant and silly. Regardless of who you call upon as God. I honestly, from my experience, I don't like saying God. I prefer static electricity. Why? Because you're going to get shocked regardless who you call upon as God. I prefer that. You can say Shiva, and you can say Darshan, or Shaktipada, or whatever. I prefer static electricity, right? You can get shocked by any deity. Go do that, Shakti, or with a tree, right? Whatever you're gonna get oneness in, and then get the download of that DNA structure. That's what happens. For serious. Yeah. So, set up your house, stay in your lane. Women. I mean, even those oppressing cultures trying to consciousness, straight jacket, torture, monocrop, even those ladies, right? And the insecurity of men, it's the ones who are so insecure because they're not wanting to start perform higher that they're gonna lose their wife. Women don't ask for much. Each person is a little different, but generally, right? It's not, because it's a choice, right? If they choose you and you still jigabooing and you still whatever you trying to do, having her have to deal with that jigaboo DNA. Those cultures go and crash and burn. Just letting you guys know. DNA doesn't strapping your future with genetic enslavement. That's why they do the love jihad, because their DNA is so shitty that they try to steal DNA that has been worked on for that monogamy, tapas, or spiritual mutation commitment that monkey mind no can, right? Things to think about, right? Why does a lineage end? Something you should meditate on too, because it does have to do with cause and effect, karmic repercussions, thought, word, deed, right? All of that. But yeah, I think I'm done. What are your subtle violences? Cordially inviting all of humanity to make that shift and make them blow poos. Awaken that ancient DNA through pranayama. My friend was like, "What are you on? Why are you so happy?" You go, I want some of what you got. I was like, you go blow the poo and you go hyperventilate, okay? That's what that one needed. Aloha, Nityanandam.